You know, when your house is full of stuff and you feel the need to sort it out. I'm not saying the solution is to go on Amazon and buy more stuff, and I'm also not saying you need everything perfectly labeled. But there are a few products that can actually help you create better systems that support you and your home. And today I'll share 15 of them that help me keep a clutter-free home as a busy mom of 2. And before we get into it, just a quick note that none of these products are going to work if we already have an overstuffed home. And that was me a few years ago. So that's what I would start with. And if you need help in that area, I've got a free decluttering checklist that's going to be linked in the description box. Cereal containers. I find these a lot more helpful in seeing exactly how much I have in my cupboards so that I don't overbuy things, because I found when I had just random cereal boxes in there, I would sometimes buy extra and then my cupboards would be full of bags and boxes, and it just wasn't working very well for us. I'm not saying you have to decant every single item in your cupboards or pantry, but decanting at least some of them, especially the ones that are in like a loose bag, that can be super helpful in streamlining your kitchen cupboards and creating more space. Pots and pans. I have reduced the amount of pots and pans that I keep, and I have swapped to mostly stainless steel ones. These are by Tefal. This is the Always pan, I believe it's called. And then this is probably my favorite one that I use all the time, and it's a Pyrex one. Stainless steel is non-toxic, so obviously it's much better for you, for your health, rather than all of the non-stick ones. So I try to go for either stainless steel or ceramic ones. So I find that having actually just a few quality pots and pans actually makes a big difference, and you don't actually need that many in your cupboard in order to be able to create the meals that you want. Simple white containers. I mean, they don't have to be white, they can be any color that you like, and you can find loads of these on Amazon, or I've got a lot of them from IKEA as well. They are really handy for organizing kitchen cupboards. I use some of them in the bathroom for my makeup products, organizing Legos. There's just a multitude of functions for these little containers. And if there's one thing I found that really helps, especially in kitchen cupboards where you've got shelves, is to try to create drawers. So like a pull-out thing like this makes it a lot easier to access all the things in here. They also stay contained, so they're not like all over the place, and it's just a really helpful way to organize things in your kitchen cupboards. Spice jars and a spice rack. Now, this spice rack was kindly left to us from the previous owners, which I actually really love the look of, but it's also super practical because it means not everything's gonna be laid out on my kitchen counters. It's making a lot of use out of vertical space, and I just find it really, really helpful when I'm cooking as well. I can see at a glance if there's any ingredients that were missing. Like, for example, I need to get more chives, so I know to add this on my food shop list. So I do find this really brilliant to keep my kitchen clutter-free and organized as well. It's one of those hand blenders that actually has multi-functions. So you've got this type of blender where you can put things in this container, blend it up. You've also got the attachment for a whisk, and then you've also got an immersion blender, which is really helpful when you're making cream soup. So if you're finding yourself short on space in your kitchen, then this might be a good idea. It's a 3-in-1, and I find that I can pretty much use this for whatever I'm cooking. I don't find that I need any sort of extra appliance. It's definitely replaced a lot of those bulky kitchen gadgets into just this one that doesn't take up a lot of space, but it's really functional for us. And also, one of my favorite purchases from Amazon is this Montessori style toy shelf I got for my toddler's room. It's the perfect size. It's not too high, so she can reach on all the shelves. It's really sturdy. It's got all rounded corners, so I just feel like it's really safe for her to play on there. It's a really beautiful space for me to lay out her toys. And while we're on the topic of toys, this part of the video is in collaboration with Lovevery. They keep in mind all of their milestones they're reaching, all of the things they're developing at the moment, like speech. And whenever we get a new box, I find it so interesting to see how at first, obviously they don't know much about what to do with certain toys, but as they play with them a bit more each day, they start to develop these skills, right? They start to learn how to play with the item, and it's just such a nice thing to observe and so rewarding as a parent, just to see their development, to see them growing, to see them learning new skills. It's just the best, isn't it? I will leave a link to the Lovevery toys in the description box. In some drawers, like this one in my bedroom wardrobe, I really like to have some sort of containers or drawer dividers so I can more easily organize things like socks, so all the socks can go in one bin, all the bras, things like that, so they're not all mumbled bubbled up in one drawer. And you can get either little storage bins like this or any of those drawer dividers that can be really useful as well. One other thing I've added to keep my jewelry clutter-free is this jewelry box. It's stackable, so you can add more if you need more. For me, I actually mainly have jewelry just in the top bit. It's perfect for like little earrings, your necklaces, so they don't get tangled, anything like that. So I've got that in the top bit. And I use the bottom bit for sewing stuff. So all of the little threads, needles, things like that I need in case I need to mend some clothes. So this is a really useful tool if you're trying to organize little items like that. This little letter holder is one of those simple things that actually help a lot. I like having an inbox system. So when we come through the door, I like to have one spot where all of the incoming mail can go. So it's things that I need to address, forms I need to fill, appointments I need to answer. I put junk mail straight in the recycling, but anything I need to address, I put in here, and it's a really helpful spot to put everything in there and not have all of that paperwork lying around on all of the surfaces. Moving into the living room, I like to have a space that's called my charging station. And for this, I used cable clippers and some of those cable ties, a little holder that kind of sticks to the wall and you can put cables on it. Cable management can be such a big issue, and having a lot of cables just lying around on surfaces, on floors, can be not only a bit dangerous if you have small children, but also an eyesore. It can be annoying when you're trying to clean, when you're trying to hoover, you have to move them out of the way. All of these things can take up a lot more of our time than we realize. So creating a little charging station has been a game changer for us. I also find my label maker very handy. And no, again, you don't need to label every single item in your home. It just sometimes makes sense to label certain things so that not only you know what's inside, but also other members of the family. I've labeled certain bins in my son's wardrobe where I can't see what's inside, so it's really helpful to have a label outside so you know what's in there before you go scavenging through that bin. I use command hooks quite a lot around our home, and I find them really helpful to keep things off the floors. So for example, in our understairs cupboard, the place where we put things like coats and shoes, backpacks and hats, all of these random little items would usually get thrown on the floor. I have put a few of those command hooks on the wall. I've hung a few hats up there, backpacks, we put our carrier bag there, and it's just really helpful not to have them on the floor. A few things I also like in the living room is having those woven baskets. I find them really helpful because for one, they look really pretty when you put them in your room, but they can also serve a lot of purposes. Like for example, one basket like that where we put garden shoes that's next to the garden entrance. We've got one under the coffee table where we put remotes and things like that. So having them in strategic places can make the space look really nice and cozy, but also can be a really helpful way to keep things organized and keep that clutter at bay. And another type of basket that I've used a lot is felt baskets. So I used to have one as a nappy caddy. Now that my baby's a bit older, I don't use it for that anymore. I use it for my camera equipment, and I also use it for toys as well. We have some of the IKEA felt storage baskets, but you can find them on Amazon. You can find them in lots of places, and I found them really good to organize the kids' toys in the unit behind me. We also like using the Wham storage bins. We have a few of them in the loft and in the shed outside for our gardening tools, and some for cables and cords and tech items that my husband likes to keep, and we keep them stored in those bins because for one, it protects them, you know, from dust and moisture, but it also is a really good way to see what's inside and have everything in one category, just stored in one place. I use them for Christmas decor, Halloween stuff, all of those kinds of things have their own bin, and it's really helpful to have everything in one spot rather than just thrown around in your loft. Let me know what other products you have found that help you keep your home clutter-free, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys!